Hi friends, it's Sarah, the owner and maker behind Multifarious Nature. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, big welcome back. I'm glad you guys are here for another episode. And we'll get into first things first, shop update end of things. So I have been dyeing up lots of fun new colors for kind of the fall end of things. And if you are interested in finding out about those new colorways first, make sure you are signed up for the newsletter. And you can do that by going to multifariousnature.com. When you go on there, it will pop up. That's one of the first things. If you don't see it in the pop up, there is a contact me section. Definitely feel free to do that and let me know you want to be added to my newsletter, and I'm happy to do that. I don't bombard you. I very rarely send out emails. My goal was to do it monthly, but it's just gotten away from me a little bit, but I try to do it monthly. And then, of course, when there's new items coming out, I know like when I'm doing advents and things like that, I always try to let you know first. And then, of course, if there's any discount codes, like any special deals going on, that is something you would receive in the newsletter. So you do have to be a newsletter subscriber to get those codes. So definitely make sure you do that if you want to be the first to find out and get some extra special discounts here and there. I don't do it often, but I do it once in a while. Okay, so that is the shop update end of things. Um, and you'll also then, like I said, you'll find out about the new colorways coming up here. So I've been busy dyeing each Friday a lot of fun new colorways. So I'm going to be listing those soon, and I will let you guys know if you have our newsletter subscriber in the coming weeks here. I want to say this next week in particular, I'm going to be sending out a newsletter to you guys. So definitely keep an eye on your inbox. That way you'll know that exact date that those new colors will be available, because I want to make sure that you guys can get your orders in if you would like. And yeah, so that's new and exciting coming up. We'll get into the works in progress. Oh, I have to ask you guys, how are you guys doing? I'm so tired. Bear with me here. My energy level is very low. I think it's because I haven't been sleeping very well. So we've been going to bed really late for us. And I'm drinking, this is decaf. It's decaf coffee. So there's not like a lot of caffeine in it, but I'm just struggling. I'm trying to convince myself that it's regular coffee, so maybe I'll get a boost, but I don't think it's going to happen. All right, so we're going to go into the works in progress. First and foremost, I'm almost done with my 2 at a time socks. I have been working on it, but I did work on another project a little bit this week. My days have just been filled with taking care of chores. We have a lot of vegetables that are coming into being ripe now, so I've been picking so many tomatoes, which is wonderful. I love canning tomatoes. That is one of the biggest things that we consume of my canned goods that we make. Yeah, tomato sauce. I make a really basic tomato sauce, and it's literally tomatoes, a little lemon juice, and that's it in the jar, and it's canned. And then when you want to make sauce, you add your ingredients from there. So you can use it as a base for like a beef stew, things like that. Or you can, make a tomato sauce and for your pasta and everything. So I've been doing that lately, and we still have a bunch more tomatoes coming in now. So I'll probably have to do some more canning very soon. Anyway, I'm almost done. So this is my Multifarious Nature 2023 Advent. It was 4 sock sets, and this one is the final sock set, and it is vintage Christmas colorway. So I'm doing the 2 at a time socks by Patricia Campbell, and this is just so much fun. I love the 2 at a time socks. If you guys haven't done it, it's a really great way to get 2 socks done at a time, because I find sometimes when I do a single sock at a time, I don't know what it is, if I just get bored of the pattern or I don't know, but I kind of lose interest. And not always, but sometimes. Like I have a pair of my Christmas socks from last year that are like a little under half done, and it's just it was an intricate pattern, and yeah, there we go. They're still not done, but this is my third pair of socks doing 2 at a time socks, and for the most part, it takes me about a month now to do it. So that tells me something that apparently I am in desperate need of stockinette, which is what these socks are. It's primarily stockinette. I do contrasting toe, I'm going to do a contrasting heel, and I'm doing some contrast striping here, and then we're going to do some ribbing. And I'm going to do the ribbing primarily in this color because I don't have a lot of the contrast color. It's a 20-gram skein. So I want to make sure I have enough for the heel. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this contrast. It's the vintage striping I was talking about, or the kind of that fun striping at the top. I don't know why I call that vintage, but it feels like the 70s to me, or 80s. But there you go. I don't really want to call that vintage. I was born in the 80s. Oh gosh, now I feel like I'm dating myself. I am not vintage. I am not vintage. Okay. But anyway, yes. It's a really pretty, so it's kind of hard to tell. I'm using my natural lighting here, but it's a really peachy, baby pink kind of color. That's the contrast. And then the primary color, which is that vintage Christmas, is so fun. Lots of fun speckles, dark greens, browns, really fun. There's also some like dark navy blue in here. It's really pretty. So super, super fun. I think I have one left in the shop if you want to snag it, but there you go. So that is, I was going to say the primary project I've been working on, but that's not correct, because if it was, I'd be done. I actually started working on a little lingering whip that was tucked aside, and I actually had to rip a bunch of it out. So it is what it is. I made a mistake. This pattern, okay. So this is the Stria cardigan by Andrea Mowry of Andrea Knits, and it is really cute top down cardigan, half fisherman's rib, a lot of fun to knit. So here's my progress keeper, and I actually was like down to here. I ripped out inches of does anybody else cringe like that when you have to rip out inches of something? So I don't think it would bother me so much, and it really doesn't bother me. I shouldn't say it bothers me, that's not the right word, but it kind of, it's satisfying to rip it out when you know it's wrong. But so I looked through the pattern, and there's a color work chart, and I'm going to do this quickly because this is a paid for pattern. I don't want to give it away or anything, but so she has it in here charted, so you can kind of get an idea here. But it's charted, and it's by rows, and it's the odd rows are on this page. And at first glance, you think, I don't know why I thought this. I know it's not true, but in my head, I thought that this was every row. That's not right. And this is the one thing that you have to watch when you go from like a pattern, put it aside in hibernation for a while, and then you come back to it. Because there are patterns that are every single row. There are lots of patterns like that. I've done a lot of them. That's why this was a problem. So this pattern it shows you every other row, because the wrong side row is all done one way. So you don't even have to see it, right? Like you don't even need a chart for that. It's all going to be the same type of stitch. And so I was like, okay, that's great. And I got that in the beginning. And then I didn't. I started going every row on that chart thinking like, this is the wrong side, this is the right side, this is the wrong side, this is the right side. And that is incorrect, because the wrong side was always one way. So yeah, how it took me that long to figure that out is beyond me. I think it's because it somehow worked out that every time I increased, it was on a right side. So it wasn't a big deal, because the way the stitches are, it would be an obvious, right? Like if I was on this chart and it showed me do an increase, and I was on the wrong side, I would have really been like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I only increase on the right side. But that's not the way it worked out. It just always magically worked out. The increase was on the right side, so it didn't immediately hit me. And then when it did, I was like, well, maybe I can get away with it. Right? I thought maybe I could get away with it. But then I thought about it. And when I thought about it hard enough, I was like, but then my row count is off. And that's not good because this is a sweater, right? It's a cardigan. So, if it's a little oversized, not a big deal. But I do want it to fit nicely because this is one of those cardigans. If you look at it, do I have the photo? Sometimes I don't print out the photo. I have kind of a photo. There's a little photo of her. Now this is striped. So originally it's a striped looking cardigan. I'm doing it solid. It's using old mill yarn. It's 100% merino. Held double because it's kind of more on the lace weight end of things. Now it is coned yarn. So you have to be mindful of that. Coned yarn tends to grow and poof. So it's considered like fingering weight, but I'd call it light fingering weight. So I am holding it double to get gauge, and I did get gauge that way. So I guess the biggest thing I am thinking is that I want it to fit nicely because I'm going to wear this to work. I want to be able to wear this over my little dresses and everything, and it's just not going to cut it for me if it's too slouchy. If it's too casual, then that won't really work well for my job. And not that I have to wear this during my job, but that was kind of the point. It's a nice neutral cardigan. It's a cream color. It's not white. It's like an off-white, kind of a warm cream. Really pretty. Really, really, really pretty. So when I ripped it all back, which I did, I ripped it all back. Oh, yeah. And I took out those inches. So here's my ball. Like, it looks crazy because this is all wrapped around here because I ripped it out. But now I'm behind in a sense. I don't have a deadline for it, but I want to be able to wear it. I think my goal was in the fall to be able to wear it. Well, that didn't happen, but that's definitely on me because I kind of put it on hold for months. I'm trying to think of when I started this. I feel like I started this early in the summer, and for some reason I put it on hold. I'm pretty sure it's because there was a shiny new object I started working on, probably a pair of socks, because it started getting really hot, and I like to work on socks when it's hot. But anyway, all that's to say, I did rip it out, which is the right thing to do so it'll fit properly. And I'm starting again. Not completely starting over, thank goodness, but I did have to start. Like, I figured out where I screwed it up, and I ripped all the way back to that increase, and then I started over. And half fisherman's rib, it's like brioche. So basically it takes like 2 rows to really see some serious increasing going on. And you knit into like the stitch below. It's a whole thing, and that's why it really takes like 2 rows to get some progress. So it was like hours of work I had to rip out. That was a little bit cringe, made me cringe a little bit, but I do quite enjoy half fisherman's rib, so the idea of having to just knit more of it didn't really bother me that much totally. But anyway, I guess really pay attention to your pattern. And if anything I had learned from this, and it doesn't mean I'm not going to do it again, because this is not the first time I've made this kind of mistake, where it was the first time I made this kind of mistake, this exact kind of mistake, but it's not the first time I made a mistake because I had put a pattern on hold. So maybe I'll learn this time for next time, but I don't really know if that's true. But hopefully next time I put a pattern on hold, I'll reread the pattern again and look at it as though it's fresh from fresh eyes, and then I'll be like, oh yes, the wrong side's always this way, and it's totally separate from this chart. So I won't make that mistake again. I hope I'll learn from it. We'll see. Maybe you guys can hold me accountable, but there we go. So those are the projects I worked on this week. Not as much as I normally do. I think I'm running into something. Okay, do you guys have this problem? Let me know if it's just me. I don't think it is. Do you have I think some people call it decision fatigue. It sounds silly when I say that out loud, but I feel like that's what's been going on with me lately. I think I have so many projects and craft things and ideas of things I want to do and get done that I literally will sit there thinking about it and I'm not actually doing it. Does that make sense? So like I'll sit down and I go, okay, I wanna do some knitting, and then I'll be like, wait, I want to do some spinning. Oh, but wait, I want to do some carding of the wool so I could do more spinning of a different breed. And it's like it just all clusters on top of each other, and then before I know it, and this time's gone by, and I have like 15 minutes to actually do something. Do you guys run into that too? I can't be the only person creative that does that, because I think it's a creative person thing. I might be an every person thing, but I wonder if it has anything to do with makers in general. Like, just want to do all the things, and I want to do all the things so much that I don't do any of the things, or I do very little of the things. And I could have done so much more if I just like committed to something. I used to be better at that. I think once I started taking on more creative endeavors, more making, it has kind of taken over my mind. So, like the knitting, the spinning, the dyeing, the carding wool, washing wool. Washing wool is now like a hobby of mine. I've been washing so much wool, it's unbelievable. But I really enjoy the process, like to the point that it's a lot of work, but I really enjoy it. It's bizarre. I young Sarah would not have seen this coming. That's for sure. Okay, so that's the works in progress end of things. No finished objects this week. I have some treasures that I got my hands on. I think I'm going to call it treasures instead of acquisitions, because acquisitions is fine, but I feel like they're more treasures because when I find these things, that's exactly how I look at it. They're treasures. So these are some treasures that I found. There is a Canadian maker. I'm going to call her a maker because she does multiple things. She does dyeing of wool. She sells wool from her local mills, from local farmers, and she also makes fun goodies. So I actually got her Advent this year. She is sold out of her Advents, so I'm sorry to say that. It's great for her, but I am sorry to say that in case you want one. But I think there might be one more of these. So I was able to snag, she does not have many of them in the shop, but she had a few one offs of colors left. And so what she did is mystery bags of 4 skeins of yarn for a really great price. And so I snagged one of them. She only had a couple, like she did not have many, and there's fingering and I think there's worsted weight. So I went with the fingering weight, and it's just beautiful. So she's out of Canada, my mom's motherland. My mom was born in Canada, and it is the company is Wild in the Woods. Here's your little card. Wild in the Woods, and her name is Serena, and I love her videos. I love her aesthetic. She's so talented and such a breath of fresh air. I highly relate to her. She lives a little more, in my head she lives a little more, slightly more removed from society than I do, but I feel a kindred to her. She lives on an island. I'm pretty sure she's in the Vancouver area, if I'm correct, something along those lines. But she lives on an island, and she dyes his wool, and she likes to embrace slow living. So they're on a few acres, and she has, I don't know if she has animals per se, other than like chickens and things like that, but she definitely has beautiful gardens and she does a lot of natural dyeing. But this is actually acid dyed. So they're stunning colors. These are stunning. So these are colors that she dyed up. Beautiful, beautiful colors. So this is a very light, kind of mauve color. This is mauve. And then we have beautiful like lavender. Now this is on 100% Canadian wool that is born and raised in Canada. So it's very rustic. I love it. It's very soft to me. It has a very woolly feel, but it's not prickly. It's not prickly. At least not to me. I guess everybody's different, right? Everybody's different. So I guess to some people this might tickle them, but to me, I would love to be snuggled up under a blanket like this. That's for sure. Um, I really don't know what I want to do with this yet. I ordered it because her colors are beautiful. Um, just super, super talented. So this one is a speckled colorway with some variegation. It's just beautiful. And then the stunning orange, super vibrant. I love it. These two together, gorgeous. And I actually think these all go nicely together. I really feel like they do. Now, it would be a lot of fun contrast, and I think this would make a really interesting shawl. I don't know what I'm going to make. I could make a sweater out of this too. I could make a sweater, but here's the thing. So these are singles. They are singles, but they are woolly wool, right? So even though they're singles, if I knit this up on a fingering weight gauge, I think it'll make it more durable, that's for sure. So I'm not sure. I don't know what I want to make with this yet. I could do these together and then these with something else, but I don't know. I'm not sure yet what I want to do with it. But they're little treasures and I want to use them. And they're super special to me that they are from Canada. Like I said, that's where my mom was born. And she was born on the other coast though. So um, Serena's in Vancouver, but my mom was born in Quebec. So she is from the other coast. The coast is kind of not really the coast, but there you go. Just beautiful. I love my speckled colorways. They're so fun. I would not probably use this for socks because it's a single, but I think a sweater or definitely a shawl is a must for those. So we'll see. I have a lot of shawls. I'm actually debating doing something wild. I actually kind of want to go through my shawls, and if there's shawls that either I haven't worn, because believe it or not, there are shawls I haven't worn. I made them out of Advents, and they just weren't really my colors. It's nothing wrong with them. They're beautiful, but they're not really the colors I tend to gravitate towards, so I just never wore them. And I haven't even woven in the ends, so I was going to weave in the ends, and I was actually debating putting those up for sale. So I put them for sale on my website, and yeah, so I'm thinking of doing that. I just have to take the time to do it. But again, that will be forthcoming when that happens. I just have to do it. Oh gosh, it's been a thing. I don't know why time is so fleeting to me right now, but it's like extremely fleeting. Things get away from me a lot. Like I said, decision fatigue. But anyway, yeah, one of the many things I need to do. I mean, I have all of these shawls behind me. Just tons of them. Tons of them. Okay, so a forthcoming project that I want to work on, and this is also a treasure. So two treasures this here too. So there's a designer that I don't think she lists these on her website though. Um, she is a clothing designer. Seams by Sarah. I've talked about her before. I just absolutely love her design aesthetic. She's a wonderful human being. I love chatting with her. I've met with her at multiple shows that she's attended, primarily the what is the name of it? The Mercantile Market in Holland, Michigan. It's usually at the end of August. So if you're in Michigan, definitely check it out. Highly recommend it. But she has all kinds of things she makes. This turban is one of her designs. This dress actually is one of her. I'm full on Seams by Sarah today. This is one of her dresses that she designed. Um, these bags she actually designed. She has a lot of fabric remnants she gets her hands on. So these are my new project bags that I got. Excellent deal. Really nice. Really, really good price. Um, just really sweet. So they have a nice little square bottom to them. They are very soft and squishy. They are not lined because this is really heavy. This is upholstery fabric, so it does not need to be lined. Like, that's durable. And then she has a beautiful um, like pocketing here with a drawstring, very durable drawstring that she made. It's just stunning. So this one I got to be more of like a holiday project bag. I feel like this is very fall and wintry feeling. So that's what this one is. Nice sock or medium-sized project bag. And then this one, I don't know, this kind of felt like fall and spring to me a little bit. Really beautiful linen fabric. It's just gorgeous. And you have kind of this theme of a garden scene going on. Got a little hardworking little gentleman here and just drinking some water from probably a well. And then we've got our milkmaid, or oh, not a milkmaid. I was gonna call her a milkmaid, but she's got little sheep. So there's a lady with her little sheep right here. How appropriate, a little shepherdess. And then there's a lady here having like a little picnic with the dog, and I just thought it was so cute. So this is reminds me of the fall a little bit too, probably because of the coloring, but I feel like it could be spring oriented too. But I think of the harvest when I look at this because of, yeah, your sheepy, and then of course there's just very much like harvest stuff going on. You've got the little one, like I said, working hard, drinking a bunch of water. So this has more of a ribbon drawstring, and it's just beautiful. So she did contrasting color up here instead of being one color. And it's all nice and durable. And her inner, she goes all out with her seaming. She does such a beautiful job. So this is the project that I want to work on next for socks ends of things. I kind of always want to have socks going on. But I'm trying to decide if I want to do 2 at a time socks again, which I absolutely love. And here's why I'm kind of running into that as well. Actually, to be really honest with myself, the real problem is that I don't want to wait until I finish the other one because I will have a pair of needles available if I would wait. But here's part of it too. So I have these double pointed needle cover from the striped tangerine that I got at Michigan Fiber Festival this year, which is super cute for double pointed needles, and I want to use it. I want to use it. Now, I could just be patient and start working on ornaments because I have some little ornament patterns that I could use this for, because that'll use double pointed needles. So if I do that, that might be a better idea. But I was like, oh, I could use double pointed needles and make my socks. So I've got this all caked up. This is my Pagora, 100% Pagora wool. I want to call it wool. They're goats. But so there's that. And then I have wool. This is Gotland lamb's wool. I have just a little bit of this from my other project leftovers, and I was going to use this for the toes, heels of the sock. So I thought that'd be a nice contrast. It's lighter, very pretty. This is a 3-ply, this is a 2-ply. I thought that would be nice, especially for your heels and toes, to have more of a 3-ply. That'll be really, really durable. But this is hair. This is Pagora hair, so a lot of times their staple length is nice and long, so that's going to be strong too. But it's super soft, like super slippery. I want to say soft, but I don't know. I can't make a cowl out of this because it'll make me itch. There is a prickle factor there around my neck with this. But I used a pattern, wrote this down. I just want to do like vanilla socks, and I used a pattern. It's called using a DK weight sock. It's a DK weight sock recipe by Modern Daily Knitting, and the designer is Kate Etherly. I took notes because I will forget. And it basically helps you figure out your recipe for your socks. So it gives you all the math to figure it out. And so that's what I did. It's DK weight, sort of between DK sport weight. It's kind of a weird. They called it sport weight on the little, yeah, sport, like it's sport weight. According to them, it's sport weight. Um, oh, it is a 3-ply. Really? It is a 3-ply? Now that's amazing. Okay, I'm even more excited now that I know this is a 3-ply. I can't believe I didn't realize that was a 3-ply. Okay, so that's a 3-ply. It's super, super, super nice. I think that's gonna be great for socks. I did a little like swatch to test it out because you need to do a little mini swatch to get your recipe. But basically, my recipe, based off of my size of my foot and everything, I'm gonna be casting on 50, or I need to get to the width of 58 stitches, and my toe will be 18 stitches on each needle, basic, or yeah, or no, that's not right. That's not right. 18 stitches total, I think. Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know. I have to figure that out. Literally, I figured out that recipe in like 20 minutes yesterday, and then I was all excited and wanted to cast them on, and I didn't. But the tricky part with that is now I have to kind of figure out what I was talking about, because either it's 18 stitches per needle or it's 18 stitches total, and then you go from there. I feel like that can't be right though, because most of my socks are 12, like 12 stitches per needle. Do you guys do a lot of DK socks? If you guys do DK socks, I would really, really appreciate if you would share your pattern that you go to, like your go-to vanilla sock pattern. I would greatly appreciate if it's free. Not that I have anything against paying for patterns, but I have an abundance of patterns that I need to do that I've paid for already. So I would really like to find just a free vanilla sock pattern. Um, or if it's like a recipe to how to figure out how to make one, that's awesome. But I think I've got this. I just got to figure out exactly how many stitches per needle. And then I will either cast them on my double pointed needles, or I will do my round ones and my circulars. I did find that I'm based off of the gauge and my yarn that I need to, I think it's a size 2 needle. Yeah, I need to do a size 2 needle, which is actually pretty small for DK. But if you're making socks, you want them to be tighter, or the stitches to be tighter so that they're more durable. So there you go. Fun stuff. So I'm still not quite sure if I'm going to do the 2 at a time circular knitting or double pointed needles. But I really like my circular knitting and 2 at a time. Because who doesn't like to, when they're done, actually be done with both socks? I do. But the one downside to doing double pointed needles instead of 2 at a time socks is that you have to divide up your yarn. Because if I just knit and knit and knit and knit to my little heart's content, and then I go, okay, I think that's about half of the ball, but it's not half of the ball, then I would have knit too far. And I don't have a super small scale that I could just keep in my bag. Otherwise, I would do that, because then I could weigh it and be like, okay, that's about half of it. I don't know. Any tips you guys have, I'd appreciate it. I'm probably going to do circular knitting though, and two at a time socks. Who am I kidding? I've become addicted to it. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend trying it, and then you'll understand the same problem that I have. It's really hard to, yeah, not do two at a time socks. All right, I have rambled on way too long, I'm sure. Talked your ear off. Sorry about that, but that sometimes happens. I think that's it as far as fun little new treasures and what I'm currently working on. I did do some spinning. I have been working on some spinning of my CVM fleece. There was a new fleece that I got too. I did find a fleece treasure. It's currently soaking, so I didn't really want to talk about that at the moment. But it's a horned Dorset fleece, and I just have to tell you guys, I'm going to say this because I feel like it needs to be said, because some people want to take on the whole raw fleece thing, and I just think it needs to be stated and reiterated. By all means, if you feel the bug bite to get a raw fleece, like uh and not just a raw fleece, a what some might call a garbage fleece. Gosh, it seems so harsh to call them that. But basically it's a fleece with a lot of VM in it, a lot of matting, possibly might be not really skirted at all, meaning there's a lot of poopy bits and stuff on the edges. That's a lot of work. And I've now done, to me, the extreme version of that. So I did get a ridiculous amount of um, raw fleeces that are, they would be considered like garbage fleeces, where you'd put them in maybe your garden or things like that, because it takes so much work to do that, like to make them pretty. If they can even, like if they're matted and mildewy or something, ooh, don't even bother. Those definitely go into the garden. But there was a bunch of fleeces. I got a bunch of them, and I had to remove a bunch of creepy bits and go through that scouring process. I did this suint method, and so all that, it took a lot of work. Totally worth it, but it took a lot of work. And I got a reminder of why it is so nice to buy a well skirted fleece from a farmer. So there is a farmer out of New Hampshire. She was selling some of her horned Dorset fleeces that are skirted. They're skirted. There's uh she called it moderate to light VM. There's hardly any VM in this fleece compared to what I've seen. And when I saw it, I was fully prepared to skirt this thing, right? Like I was fully prepared, because the last pounds of fleece I got my hands on needed some serious skirting. Serious skirting. And I got this beautiful fleece, and I rolled it out on our driveway. That's where I usually just do my little quick skirting. And I was dumbfounded. I I found one piece. I think it was about this big, like maybe 2 inches at the most in size, of second, like one little second cut. And everything else was just lightly, like just little dirt. No creepy bits. She pulled all the creepy bits, you guys. And I was so dumbfounded. Now, I know better than to try to just spin as is, because I know it's dirty. Like it is dirty. You could see it. It's a white fleece and it's quite dingy looking, but it's just the dirt, it's nothing creepy. And I have to say, the fact that that's all I pulled off of it, and then I put it in its soaking bath. So I'm doing the suint method, so it's soaking for like a week because it's a fresh batch of water in there. I've got it soaking for a week, and I'm really excited, because I'm gonna pull that puppy out, and I know I can rinse that thing like maybe once and it'll be fine, because it wasn't super creepy. Where some of those other fleeces I had to rinse like 4 times because they were getting they were creepy, like really creepy. Yeah. So just that goes to say that if you spend just a little bit more, which this was significantly more compared to my garbage fleeces. They were a lot cheaper money wise, but they took a lot more labor to get them to where they're usable. So you always just have to figure, do you want to put the labor into it, which is definitely going to be just as expensive as buying one that has been cleaned, or not cleaned, but like skirted properly and the creepy parts removed. And they might actually be cleaner fleeces, right? So you don't even have to do all the process of cleaning them so much. All right, I seriously have talked your ear off, but there you go. I just felt like I needed to share that because I think those that have never done it before have no idea. And if you ever want to try it, I highly recommend you try it. It's worth doing at least once. And if you get overwhelmed and you go, oh my gosh, this was insane, at least a garbage fleece is usually either free. They might be free. I've not encountered that yet, but they might be free or they might be really reasonably priced, but it's going to take a lot of work. But I think it's totally worth to try it once because I think you'll really, really extra appreciate all the hard work and effort that farmers go through when they actually skirt their fleeces for sale. I greatly appreciate the work that they do, and I especially appreciate it now. All right, I think that's it for me this week. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I look forward to chatting with you soon. Take care.